Australia's Seeds for the Future program. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Welcome to the graduation ceremony of Huawei Seeds for the Future program. I'm Lulu from Huawei Reception Department.
And I'm Alex from Australia's Seeds for the Future cohort. I'm happy to be with you today and to host this ceremony with Lulu.
Yes, at the very beginning, I'd love to thank all of you today. Thanks for kindly accepting our invitation.
I am honoured to introduce the guests here today. They are firstly from the Australian Consulate General, the Consul for Political and Economic Affairs, Mr. Chris Yost.
Welcome.
From the Australian Technology Network of Universities, Executive Director Ms. Renee Heinmarsh. And from Huawei's Global CSR, Head of Government Affairs Department, Ms. Holly Renee Vozanani. Sorry, I got that wrong.
At the same time, I would like to extend our sincerest congratulations to our top students for successfully completing the Seeds for the Future program. The Seeds for the Future program is Global Cooperation Society Responsibility Flagship Program. It provides top students with opportunities to gain valuable experience under a global business environment. And in addition, during their stay in China, we help the students experience cross-cultural work practice and Chinese culture. So today, we are all looking forward to hearing more about their journeys here and how they experience the program.
So firstly, I would like to invite Ms. Holly Renee Vozanani, Huawei's Global CSR Head of Government Affairs Department, to deliver the opening speech. Please make her feel welcome.
So thank you very much, Alex and Lulu. So Mr. Chris Yost, Political Consul of the Australian Consulate General in Guangzhou. Mrs. Renee Heinmarsh, Executive Director of the Australian Technology Networks of Universities. So ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to this Seeds for the Future closing ceremony. So first I would like really to extend my sincere thanks to Mr. Chris and Mrs. Renee for being with us today and taking the time to be here. And of course, it's always a pleasure to welcome new friends as we cherish opportunities like this to kind of reflect on our fruitful cooperation and look at the future success together. So as you may know, 2017 has been a very busy year for Huawei. And now in December, we're kind of taking the time to reflect on what has been achieved over this past year. So for instance, we successfully made a 5G trial in Canada, a technology that will power the smart homes and businesses of tomorrow. We also built new open labs to work with different industry partners and create together innovative solutions that enable digital transformation. We also launched our smartphone Mate 10 Pro, launched in Australia, which has built-in artificial intelligence, which is now with an enabling technology that will create added value for our customers, making us more competitive and giving us new capabilities. So for Huawei, our long-term mission is really to help build a better connected world. We make sure that technology will benefit everyone. And we are convinced there is a huge potential in leveraging innovative technologies to address global challenges, may it be to create jobs, to employment, but as well to even combating climate change. But of course, to make that happen, we need a strong collaboration between businesses, governments, civil society, all really working together as one to ensure a responsible and more sustainable future. So we are very grateful to have the support of the Australian government and other educational institutions over the years, and we of course remain committed to contribute to your national agenda, your ambition to fully embrace the digital era, and of course to nurture the talent of tomorrow. And more than ever, we are very confident that there is an enormous potential in working together, of course, to build a better connected Australia. So let me just finish by congratulating all the students. So you have now joined a network of more than 100 countries all around the world, and thousands and over students who already did the same path as you. So as you can see, this is a truly global program, And we hope that it was a fulfilling opportunity for you to be part of it, to know more about Huawei, know more about our industries, and more importantly, know more as well about China. So we know that 3 weeks will just give you a glimpse of what these opportunities can be, but as well all the different and endless possibilities that lie ahead of you. So I'm sure that this is just gonna be the beginning of a greater journey, and of course, this is not a real goodbye for us. So just to finish, I would like to wish you all a very safe trip back home, and of course, I look forward to a continuous collaboration and look forward to know more about your journey as well after this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wait for that to turn back on. Thank you. Okay, so secondly, I'd also, we're really excited to have Mr. Chris Yost from the Australian Consulate General with us today. And let's give him a warm welcome to the stage.
So which one am I speaking to? Hi everyone. I'll try not to be too long and come between you and your lunch. Firstly, I thank you to Holly for the introduction and for explaining all the amazing things that Huawei is doing in the ICT sector. And thank you, of course, to Huawei for its hospitality. Today, this is a fantastic program that's been running for a few years now. I think, Lisa, it's since 2008. Yep. And for me, this is my 3rd year attending, and it's always great to see all these young, smart Australians attending. So a big thank you particularly to Lisa and to Renee for all your work in Australia in getting this program running. As the Australian government representative, I'm supposed to talk about the New Colombo plan today, which of course it's fantastic that we've been able to link the New Colombo plan into this Huawei Seeds for the Future program. But I think you've probably already heard a lot about New Colombo plan in Melbourne and in Beijing by now. So I won't go too much into that. Suffice to say, it's been a fantastic program in getting young Australians out to learn about the Asia-Pacific region in particular. But what I really want to say today is to the students is congratulations to you guys. Congratulations first and foremost for being selected to participate in such a competitive program. And I hope you've got the things out of it that you hoped you did. That you hoped you would, and that you've got some real valuable industry insights and perspectives that you'll be able to carry forward into your careers. But even more than that, I want to congratulate you for your ability to predict the future. And what I mean by that is looking at the list of things that you're studying. I think you've all made some really smart decisions for your careers and are going into career fields that are going to be critical to the emergence of this new information-driven global economy. Most of you, looking at your faces, you're probably young enough that you've always grown up with the internet. You know, when you grew up, it was probably all around you from day one. It felt as sort of normal as electricity or running water. But it actually wasn't always like that, of course. And the internet, if you put it in context, is actually a very new phenomenon. There are scholars who look at this throughout human civilization and have basically identified 4 major revolutions that have occurred in the way that human beings disseminate knowledge. The first of those was the invention of language about 100,000 years ago, the invention of writing about 5,000 years ago in modern-day Iraq, the invention of the printing press in 1440, and now the invention of the internet, which really only became sort of a mass consumer product or mass consumer phenomenon from about the early 1990s. So if you put it in that broader human civilizational context, it's actually a very new phenomenon. And we don't really know exactly how this latest revolution is going to pan out exactly. But what we do know is that it's going to radically transform the way the global economy works. And it's going to radically disrupt entire industries. So in that context, I think it's very clear that you're all learning and will graduate with skills that are going to be put you in great stead for making a huge contribution to the global economy. Even just looking at basic ICT infrastructure, we're seeing a massive demand for growing bandwidth. You would have these days, if you want to run for example, a 4K video, you're probably looking at something like 30 to 40 megabits per second connection. But when we look at VR, for example, that increases exponentially to within 4 or 5 gigabits per second. And we know, for example, that Facebook and Alibaba and a lot of these large tech companies are looking to integrate VR, for example, into the next generation of ICT services. So there's going to be a massive increase for bandwidth, and there's going to be out of that. At the same time, we're seeing the Internet of Things obviously increasing the number of connections within networks, particularly with machine-to-machine communication. So it's not only increasing bandwidth, but also demand for people who can create and manage networks that have low latency, that are going to be able to low latency, high energy efficient networks, the kind of skills that you guys are going to bring into the economy. At the same time, we're seeing data emerge as the lifeblood of the new economy. And that's the reason why a company like Facebook can be valued at 300 billion USD. Its value is really in the data that it holds on about its customers. So again, huge demand for skills in the ICT industry for those who can translate that data and make it relevant for companies in adding value to their customers. And of course, you'd be aware from your time in China to date, some of the amazing work that Huawei has been doing in 5G technology on the infrastructure side, and also on cloud computing, and rolling cloud computing out across all of its product lines. So I think all of these skills are going to be incredibly valuable for you guys in your career, and it's also going to be incredibly valuable for Australia, and you're going to make an important contribution to our economy in the future. Finally, I hope that the experience that you've had with Huawei today here in China, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to learn about China and how China fits into the changing global ICT industry. And there's some phenomenal things happening in this country. I saw a recent McKinsey report which said that China already does 42% of the world's e-commerce. It processes 11 times more mobile payments than the United States. And it has 1/3 of the world's unicorns, which is, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is basically a company that's valued at 1 billion USD. Similarly, there's a political risk consulting group called the Eurasia Group, which just, I think, possibly yesterday, released a report looking at China's contribution to AI, and basically predicts that China is going to be a global power in artificial intelligence. And the key to that emergence has been, firstly, the amount of capital that's rushing into this area, and supported by government policy, but also the enormous the emergence of huge amounts of data in this market. There's China now has the largest number of internet users in the world, 800 million. 725 million of those use their mobile phones to connect to the internet. And that's around about 3 times the number of mobile phone internet users than the United States. But the gap even gets even bigger when you consider the way that Chinese people use their phones. And so, for example, Chinese people are 50 times more likely to pay for goods on their phone than the United States users. They're 10 times more likely to order food through their mobile phone, and 500 more times more likely to use a shared bicycle app. And so, at the same time that you have this enormous user base, you also have a huge proliferation of data that's occurring in this market. And as you would all know, data is the bedrock of good artificial intelligence. And so it's really positioning China to be a major player in the future of artificial intelligence. A good example of that is a company called Mobike. I don't know if any of you have used Mobike here in China. You would have certainly seen all the orange bikes around in various cities in China. So it's estimated that every day you have tens of millions of Chinese mobile phone users using Mobike, and they estimate that this generates around about 20 terabytes of data for the company to analyze and synthesize, and it's again the reason why this company is valued so highly. It's not just about getting money from the consumer in I think it's only about the equivalent of about 10 Australian cents per minute to use the bikes, but actually in the data that represents. So something very unique and special is happening in the Chinese ICT sector. I think we're really only seeing the beginning of it. So in terms of this new Colombo plan, as I said, one of the key things is to get young Australians learning about the Asia Pacific region. And so in that sense, if this program, if you come out of this program and it lights perhaps a little spark of curiosity and interest in China and in what's possible in China, I think it will have been a very worthwhile project. So that's it from me. Good luck to you all in the rest of your time here in China, and I hope you have a great time. I think you have until Thursday to continue exploring and get out and see as much of Shenzhen as you can, which is, I think, in my view and in many people's view, the most innovative city in all of China, and emerging as really a major global centre for innovation. I'm very much looking forward to your student performance. I think there's going to be a performance. There's always one every year, and the Australian students are always very creative. I think the one I saw 2 years ago, there was, I don't want to give you guys pressure, but if I remember correctly, there was breakdancing. So good luck with it, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yost. For the insightful speech, I can assure you that our performance later will be up on par, if not surpass the quality of the previous years, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. No pressure, guys. Next up, we've got the Executive Director of the Australian Technology Network of Universities, Ms. Renee Hindmarsh. Please welcome her to the stage.
This one? Yeah. Well, thank you, and hello everyone. It's really great to be here today. I would like to acknowledge Chris and Holly and also Alex from IT Wire. Thank you all for joining us here today on what is a really exciting occasion. And for me, it's really great to be back at Huawei headquarters for the first time in 2 years, and it's really changed. Over the past couple of weeks, you've probably all heard quite a lot already about the ATN, so I will spare you our corporate spiel. And I suspect you've also heard quite a lot about Huawei, but I did think it would be a great opportunity to talk to you about how it was that we've come to be here today in this expanded program. 3 years ago, I was sitting in my office and one of my team members came in and said, "There's a guy called Jeremy Mitchell on the phone from Huawei. Do you want to take the call?" Having no idea what this was about, I was like, "Yeah, sure, put him through." And anyway, during the course of that conversation, Jeremy suggested to me, would I think about partnering with Huawei, given that our organisation represents Australia's best technology universities, and Huawei is obviously one of the world's leading technology companies. Now, at that point, I've just locked my screen, which means that I won't be able to access my notes, but that's okay. At that stage, ATN had never acted as a portal for corporate partnerships before, but it did make a whole lot of sense. We were already industry-engaged universities. 2/3 of our research income came from industry, and students have always been at the heart of everything that we do. So it seemed like a pretty natural fit, and it really sparked an idea. Some would say seeded an idea. And so therefore we decided that, this was something worth putting to our board, and luckily they agreed. So with goodwill from both sides, we sent our first batch of seed students in 2015, and along with the researcher delegation and myself, we got to experience firsthand what the Huawei headquarters was all about. And I'm sure my experiences then were pretty similar to what you've experienced over the last couple of weeks. First impressions, wow, this is huge. Like, the scale of this thing is crazy. And then I guess I thought the future's pretty exciting, and I'm really pleased to be part of it. And I also was blown away by the hospitality that we were shown by Huawei. So on behalf of the ATN to our partners at Huawei, I would like to say, xie. We, at the ATN, I think we share a lot of similarities with Huawei, and over the last 3 years, our partnership has really grown and deepened as we've got to know each other. And I think we've discovered that we both have a commitment to developing and embracing world-leading technology. As Chris and Holly were pointing out, there's a lot of really exciting stuff that's happening at the moment, and we're part of that. I think the other thing is that we're both really committed to creating and fostering a talent pipeline, and the SEEDS program is such a great representation of that, and we're really pleased to be part of that as well. So you'll see just, I guess, a great snapshot over the last couple of weeks and next week, and I'm really interested to hear from you, the students, how that goes, because it is a first-time experience for us, and it will be great for you to hopefully whet your appetite for all things to come with China. And I know that from previous experience, this has really altered the course of people's lives, without trying to sound too dramatic here. It's really opened up a whole world of opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily have thought of had you not been selected for this program. So to the students, you have certainly done us at the ATN and JCU proud. I think you've done your country proud as well, and so congratulations. It has certainly been an absolute joy getting to know some of you at dinner last night and very briefly at the lunch today. I also wanted to say a massive thank you to Lisa Connors. We have navigated over the last few years some pretty uncharted waters, and it has been really great to work with Lisa. She's the most patient, gracious person, and I can't imagine a better corporate partner. So thank you, Lisa. To Fonny, thank you for leading this delegation. It's not easy with such a big group, and you have handled it with aplomb, made it look easy even though we know it's not, and you've certainly impressed Blair from my team, who was very happy to be part of this for the first week. And to the Australian Government, we are so pleased, Chris, to add New Colombo Plan to our partnership with Huawei. It's great to be able to see our best and brightest students coming out here to be ambassadors for our universities and for Australia. So with that, I will just say congratulations to all of you and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's really an inspiring speech. And now I think the topics may come to our students from Seeds for the Future program. So Alex, in the past 2 weeks, you have visited 2 core cities here in China, right?
Yes, we have. In Beijing, we visited the historical sites, including Great Wall and the Forbidden City. We also learned Mandarin, some better than others, and received Chinese cultural lessons in calligraphy and painting. Here in Shenzhen, we've visited Huawei's exhibition halls, received ICT technical training, learned more about Huawei as a company, and learned more about the rapid development of Chinese technology.
Wow, it sounds like you have a lot of things to share about your journey here in China, and we're all excited to hear about it.
Yeah, definitely. So let's give a warm welcome to 2 of my fellow Australian Seeds for the Future delegates, Ms. Eloise Lestrange from the Queensland University of Technology and Mr. Wilson Bowe from James Cook University.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eloise Lestrange, and as Alex said, I'm from the Queensland University of Technology. I would like to firstly take the opportunity to thank the honourable guests today. From the Australian Consulate, the Consul for Political and Economic Affairs, Mr. Chris Yost. From the Australian Technology Network of Universities, Executive Director, Ms. Renee Hindmarsh. And from Huawei's Global CSR, Head of Government Affairs Department, Mr. Holly Renee Bonazi. Sorry, got your name, yes. I would also like to extend a huge thank you to all the universities of which our seeds originate from. That is, James Cook University, Curtin University, the University of Technology Sydney, the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, the University of Southern Australia, and Queensland University of Technology. Furthermore, I would like to extend our thanks to the Australian Technology Network for their support and facilitation of this program, as well as the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade for their sponsorship of the New Colombo Plan and for the facilitation of a larger number of seeds for the 2017 program. Additionally, our seeds would like to extend our thanks to the Beijing Language and Culture University for their patience and enthusiasm while teaching us Mandarin. Speaking to my other peers, I know many of our eyes have been opened to the possibility of further study in Mandarin. Finally, I would like to thank Huawei China and Australia for hosting this wonderful program and providing us an insight into the ICT industry. This program is a highly unique opportunity that has provided our cohort the opportunity to experience China and learn about Chinese culture, history, and language. Through classroom learning, the program has provided us with the technical knowledge from Huawei University and an introduction to Mandarin from the Beijing Language and Culture University. Furthermore, through our visit to the Huawei exhibition hall, we have gained a better insight into Huawei's technology and the full scope of their research and development initiatives. Prior to this program, myself, along with many of my other seeds, only knew Huawei for their consumer products, specifically their smartphone. However, now we have acquired knowledge of both their enterprise and carrier business groups. It was interesting to learn about the breadth of their work across many different regions, and specifically their disaster relief support in the events of the Japanese earthquakes and their assistance to the Democratic Republic of the Congo in building roads. Upon reflection of Jenny's speech at the opening ceremony in Beijing, I realized though that learning is not only in the classroom. I believe I can speak with confidence when I say that we have all formed valuable connections with our fellow like-minded peers. I myself have been pleasantly surprised by the willingness and openness of my fellow students in sharing their knowledge in their respective areas. All in all though, this program has provided a great experience both within the classroom, learning about the Chinese people, culture, and the way things operate in this dynamic and unique country that is China. But also the networks created amongst each other as peers of the program. I would like to once again thank everyone who has played a part in making this program possible. I know myself, along with my other seeds, will cherish this experience for the rest of our lives. Thank you. I will now hand over to my fellow seed, Wilson.
Thank you, Eloise. And good afternoon, invited guests and fellow seeds. It's great to be here. When I was selected for the Huawei Seeds for the Future program, I was feeling both excited and nervous. Nervous because I had never travelled overseas, but excited to embark on my first overseas adventure, especially having studied Chinese language at high school. I've enjoyed many new experiences on this program: Chinese culture and food, Huawei's company, and to a lesser extent, learning that large containers of liquid cannot be taken on international flights. Leading up to the 25th of November, I struggled to fathom the size of Beijing, given that Beijing and Australia both had similar populations. In my mind, I pictured Sydney, but with the population of Australia squeezed inside it. Something like a Beatles concert in the 1960s, I suppose. But I was proven wrong. The cities have not been crowded, and the people have been friendly and generous beyond expectation. I've been honoured to taste authentic Chinese food, which reflects the geography and culture of the regions. In the north, a hot lunch complements the cold weather, while in the south, seafood and vegetables reflect both the proximity to the sea and the small village lifestyle which was once Shenzhen. From our experience here, there have been some notable differences between China and Australia. Firstly, supermarkets like Woolworths and Coles have not been as prolific as they are in Australia. Rather, China is served by many smaller grocers. The residential situation is another difference. In Australia, our cities have a CBD containing a few high-rises, levelling out to residential suburbs where the majority live. In China, however, you can see high-rises in every direction you look. A clever strategy not only to house their millions of citizens, but to also save them from mowing the lawn every other weekend. The efficiency of China has also impressed me, especially at the canteens and other food outlets. At home, I often stand in a queue 3 deep at the food court to wait for service. In China, there is often 10 others waiting before me, but I seem to get served almost instantaneously. I think this is largely due to the uptake of quick electronic payments, such as Alipay or QR codes, rather than cash or FPOS back at home. Despite these differences, the tropical vegetation weather, similar to my hometown of Cairns, has been welcoming and I believe has alleviated any feelings of homesickness I would otherwise be feeling about now. Reflecting on the last 2 weeks, the Seeds for the Future program from Huawei has provided a unique opportunity to experience firsthand world's largest market and also China's second largest company. I would not be surprised if Huawei continues on its trajectory, rising to become one of the world's largest companies in the not too distant future. In my own future of electronics engineering and IoT, however, I can anticipate future professional relations with Huawei and more broadly with China. Upon returning to Australia, I plan to continue studying the Chinese language after putting it aside for a few years since high school. Some of my fellow seeds have also indicated their intention to embark on this adventure as well. This is a grand gesture, making an effort to break down the language and cultural barriers which would naturally impede bilateral partnerships. My final message to my fellow seeds: when you return home to your cities, share your experiences of China and Huawei honestly. It is through these first-hand recounts that our country can truly appreciate the economic powerhouse that is China. And when you return to your universities, become ambassadors for the Seeds for the Future program. Illustrate all the exciting experiences and emphasise the value that this program has delivered to your career and also to your perspective of the world. Finally, thank you Huawei for running this invaluable program and especially for collaborating with Professor Wei Xiang at JCU Cairns to offer this opportunity to, in my very biased opinion, the most thriving regional city in Australia. Thank you.
Thank Thank you very much. We're so nice to have you in our program. And now, I think it's time to issue the certificates. And also, here has a special gift from our founder, Huawei Mr. Ren. This book called Huawei Story. It tells the secrets of Huawei's success. If you already have one, you can share this with your sisters or brothers, both okay. And if you hear your name, please come to the stage and make pictures. And now I'd love to invite Mr. Chris and Miss Holly come to the stage, issue the certificates and the gifts to our top students. And our students, if you hear your name, please come to the stage.
Okay, Aditya Prabhakara.
Okay,
certificates open or closed?
as you like.
As you like. Oh, open first, guys.
So we have to be consistent on the front. Close.
So, our photograph show your best smile. Yes.
Perfect.
And 1, 2, 3, let's say Huawei together, okay? 1, 2, 3.
One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Perfect.
Congratulations.
Oh, Josh mate. What?
Why can't you? Like, they do vape.
Congratulations, all the students and
I'll be at
congratulations, all the students. And now I'd love to invite you to for lunch. Food and drinks will be served soon. And half hour later, about 1:30, will be the most amazing show prepared by our top students.
And as I said earlier, it will be the most amazing show, so make sure you don't miss it, so don't go anywhere.
See you.